Okay. Hi, everyone. It's Janet with Our Silent Voice and my
Hi,
partner,
everybody.
Marie. Hi. And we're excited to be with you today. We're going to talk about today two specific things: harassment at work, and specifically to celebrate the International LGBTQ community recognition. We want to talk about how it is for our co-workers in the LGBTQ community at work. So, Marie, you've given some thought to this stuff at work. What have you discovered when you've worked or when you've looked into this?
Well, what I've discovered from a lot of the people that we've spoken to is that a lot of people begin to accept these microaggressions at work as part of their everyday lives. And so it's interesting to me to study what we accept and what we shouldn't accept. What we tell ourselves is really not that bad, really is that bad sometimes.
Mhm.
And especially for the LGBTQ community, I think there are a lot of microaggressions at work that build and build and build until it really is not acceptable. Unless, of course, you have a situation where it's right from the top, it's just awful,
Yes, I agree. And
right?
I think about, I'm glad you brought up from the top because I'm looking at it and how I've thought about it is about power, about winning domination and the games boys play with each other. Like, I can do it in 10. Oh, yeah, well, I can do it in 12. That kind of competitive domination. Um, when I
Well, it's
read
not just boys, it's everybody in the workplace, especially if you're in a competitive workplace.
Well, I'm thinking specifically about some of the work that I've read about when I was in business, how girls work together or communicate and how boys communicate. Boys communicate competitively. And when you are competitive in your conversation at work, there is a domination that can come from that that says, oh, well, I can do it better than you. Oh, yeah, well, yeah. And that's what boys play. Girls don't play that way. They don't grow up that way. They may learn it in the workplace, but that's not something that they
Yes, they
copy.
do.
Yeah. So, but the thing of it is, I'm not going to harass you, and I aren't going to talk about how to tap that guy, are we?
How to tap that guy? No. Well,
No. Well,
maybe some women younger than us do.
yeah. So let's not generalize it all. It's
Okay.
truthfully, it's about power. It's about winning
Yes.
and it's about domination. And that's why it works. And I see in some conversations, and I remember some conversations at work where there is an agreement to hurt. And we've read articles about this where guys will go together and say, oh, let's do this to her. She won't care. Wouldn't that be funny to see what she does? And they'll put something in her coffee cup in the workroom. The microaggressions you were talking about, just because they
Mm,
want to play a joke on someone. What if it's not funny? I mean,
right.
do we go running to HR and say, so and so put a cockroach in my coffee cup? Well, probably not, right? We just walk away like a spot in the carpet, and we put a
Right.
plan on it, and we move on. So I wonder um, what we get used to. And what's it like for trans workers in the workplace? I pulled together some stats that I thought were kind of interesting. So, March 31st, we're recording this on Thursday, by the way. Thank you very much. Because it is LGBTQ International Transgender Visibility Day. So, we're making that visible. So, one of the stats I came up with was a survey done with 935 LGBTQ adults conducted in 2021. That's pretty recent, don't you think? I mean, so um, lifetime, 5 year, and past year discriminations. So those three categories were surveyed and assessed. And over 40% of LGBTQ workers, 45.5%, reported experiencing unfair treatment at work.
That's if they get hired in the first place.
Well, that includes being fired, not hired, or harassed because of their sexual
Right.
orientation or gender identity. Well, and Florida just passed that. Don't talk to children about being gay. Don't
Yeah.
talk. Don't talk to the children who come from a family of two moms about being gay. Don't share about that. Don't talk about that. They're supposed to tell the kids not to talk about it. That's antithetical to you and I, where we think talking about it's what's most important. We'll see.
Absolutely. You're right.
See what
You're
happens.
right. It's a crazy world that we live in right now. It's a world a post-truth era.
Yeah, post-truth. Well, our silent voice is going to truth it up, right?
Right.
We're not going to be post-truth. So the thing that's interesting is that of the people that they talked to in this survey, Marie, they said that over half of the employees who experienced discrimination or harassment at work reported that their employer or coworkers did or said something to indicate that the unfair treatment that they experienced was motivated by religious belief.
Mm.
And remember in this, I don't know if you saw, but I did. I was kind of really in the confirmation hearing of our new Supreme Court justice, who will be on the court sooner rather than later, I hope. But one of the senators from Tennessee asked her if she could define a woman.
Right.
What she was going for was, it's not an LGBTQ person. The discrimination is endemic.
Well, yes, endemic is the right word for it. Harassment at work is also. It's so some of it flies under the radar of what we'll accept so often, and it flows so freely. And like Janet said, excuse me, we need to truth it up. We need to tell those stories, and hearing those stories, although it may be difficult, is very necessary to open up the compassion of the leaders in this country and the people who speak out and the people who have power. They need to know, they need to hear these things.
Well,
So we'd love to hear from you. If you're in the LGBTQ community, we'd love to make your voice be heard.
so
We're
write
here
your,
for you.
yeah, and write your comments in the comment area on Facebook. Let us know what you're thinking and how you respond to this. I honestly believe that as long as your election depends upon agreeing with wackadoodles in your community, like people who believe that it's wrong and bad and horrible to be around LGBTQ communities, it's going to be tough to change until our laws change. And you know the Violence Against Women Act? Marie, I wonder when that finally gets ratified by all the states that it's going to be time to put a new law on the books that we ratify that you can't discriminate against LGBTQ community. Excuse me.
Well, I think that the bottom line is fear. And we fear, as human beings, we fear what is not known to us, what is strange to us.
Yes.
And so it's my feeling that we just need to get to know this population. And we'll get to know you by hearing your stories, and let us put your stories out there and educate the general public. We just need to open our eyes. I've learned a lot. Janet has learned a lot. And we continue to learn, and we continue to be open to hearing this and learning about what concerns you.
Yes.
It's not second nature to me, but I'm certainly willing to open my heart to all of it.
I want to say that our silent voice supports human beings. And I don't care what kind of human being you are, from a wackadoodle to a polka dotted person to an LGBTQ to a man to a woman to a kid to an adult. our silent voice is for people. And the people that are, oh gosh, what was it? I remember my daughter calling, it was from some sci-fi program that she watched, carbon-based units. I love that idea that all carbon-based units are welcome at our silent voice. So I had a weird thing happen to me that was kind of like that thing that you put under the carpet or the spot in the carpet thing. So I went to work one day and expected some trouble from an engineer that I had to work with. Um, he was loved by everybody. Everybody talked about him. He is the greatest guy. You know, we love him. He's so much fun. And I was from a department that needed information from engineering, so I had to go to him first. So when I went to him, I talked myself into staying on the high road, not making any waves, being 100% professional, 100% professional, not even wavering into a conversation that wasn't that. So when he said something and didn't get the reaction he wanted, he challenged me and said, "Hey, sweetheart, not in a good mood today?" I laughed him off and I walked away, and he patted me on the behind and said, "Hey, I can loosen you up after work sometime." The guys around him laughed. Marie, they laughed loud. They thought it was hilarious.
Yeah.
So, sorry, at the company picnic, his wife told me that he loved working with me.
I bet he did.
I bet he did. But it was disgusting and it was
Yeah.
creepy, right?
But it was hilarious, Janet. Don't you get it? It was
Yeah, don't
so
you get it?
funny.
I know. And where's your sense of humor, right?
Right,
Where's your sense
right.
of humor? Yeah. So
I
I read.
actually had a guy elbow me and he said to me, if you ever want to cheat on your husband, I'm your guy.
God.
Like, hello. Did you really just say that?
Did you just do that? Oh God.
Okay,
Oh
honey.
yeah. And that
What does your baseball cap say? I'm your guy.
I'm your guy. Whoa, I know. And it's like, then I ask the question, then who am I in this conversation? A,
Right.
a side of beef?
Right. We go back and we look in the mirror and we say to ourselves, why didn't I stand up to that? Why wasn't I stronger? Why wasn't I? Who was I in that moment? Where
Oh,
was I?
yes.
And
I should have said,
yeah, it diminished, at least for me, it makes me feel a little smaller after
yeah.
something like that. And it's just got to stop. It is not acceptable.
And I wonder, and, and you probably had something at stake in the location where you were, right? Like a party, a business environment where you were.
Yeah.
Some,
You're not going to be like alone with that guy ever. It's just like,
no, but you've got something at stake in that where you are in that location where it happened. You can't turn around and say, "Excuse me, that's not appropriate. Don't ever talk to me that way again," and give him the Wonder Woman response. You
right,
couldn't. It's your company. You
right.
know, what are you going to say? I mean, oh, God. I know. Anyway, so I think most of the advice that we get from articles that we read or statistics that we read, where we get this great advice that says, go to your HR department and report it, or consider escalating the issue to your immediate manager, or if you feel that your manager's HR and company management do not deal with your case satisfactorily, get in touch with the EEOC. Now, how many of us do that over, "Hey, sweetheart, if your husband doesn't want you, I'll take you"? I mean,
Yeah.
You're going to take that?
Well, and how many of us have been taught either forcibly or just in our upbringing to acquiesce and to be polite and to smile and to not make a big deal out of it. How many of us, and in the transgender community, how many of them just to survive, just to
Just
keep
to
their
survive.
job,
Yes.
do not say anything.
Anything. And you know,
This is why what I said before is so important, to hear these stories and to educate men like that or people like that in the workplace that they say those things and they think they're funny, but they don't really know how offensive it is until they're
Yeah.
taught. It's
And
just a question of awareness.
I think it's something that I don't know. When I went to the dentist yesterday, and as I was checking out with the gals at the front desk, one of them said, "Oh, we read your book." And I said, "What did you think?" And they said, "Well, it wasn't an easy read, but it sure seemed important. But I read every page."
Yeah.
And our reviews on Amazon are extraordinary because reading Our Silent Voice Break the Silence is it's an experience, and people are telling us that when they read it, they get into it and they can feel the writers of these stories.
Yeah.
What that creates is a connection. So we urge you, regardless of how you ID yourself, like we said, polka dots and stripes are good with us. We want to hear what you have to say about what you've survived at work. We're going to have this as a chapter in our new book, in our next book, called Fierce, Brave, and Loud. And we want to hear from you. And we're going to be really annoying with our social media, screaming for submissions. So if you have a story, let us know, number one, if you're interested in a workshop. Number two, if you have a submission. Number three, if you want to have help writing. Go to our website, oursilentvoice.com. It's the normal www.oursilentvoice.com. And you can email us at mpjp@oursilentvoice.com. That's our email address and our website. Sign up for our newsletter. Sometimes it's not easy just to say, "Oh, hey, I'm going to write." Well, it doesn't happen that way. Unless, of course, you're a writer. If you're not a writer, it doesn't. It's like, should I? Do I want to? Do I not want to? If you sign up for our newsletter, you'll be urged every single session to look at a new prompt, look at some new ideas about what to write and how you can.
You'll get the support that you need because we'll listen to you,
Yep.
we'll respond to you, we'll support you. And we won't just walk away after it's done either. We're
Exactly.
building a community here.
That's right. Exactly. And we love our community. It's pretty great. So thanks, Marie. It was fun today. I'm glad we talked about it.
I am too. Thanks, everybody.
So, yay, LGBTQ International Recognition Day. Awesome. Bye.
Bye.